Pokemon Colosseum is a game that for years has been on my radar as a must-play Pokemon game. So I was curious, how does this game compare to some of the other Pokemon games that we've played over the past few generations? Is this game even worth my time? Is it worth your time? In this video, we're going to dissect all of that, and I'll let you know my thoughts on this game and whether I think you should play it or not. Let's check it out. Pokemon Colosseum was released in North America in 2004 exclusively for the Nintendo Gamecube. Now in this game, you play as Wes, who is a former member of the nefarious Team Snag'em, which is a criminal organization that uses snag machine technology to capture the Pokemon of trainers during battle, effectively stealing them. Team Snag'em has partnered up with another criminal organization called Team Cypher, who corrupts snagged Pokemon with a strange darkness. Now the game begins with Wes stealing a portable snag machine from Team Snag'em and blowing up the Snag'em hideout as he makes his escape. Shortly after escaping, Wes runs into two men who are dragging a kidnapped girl in a sack. After defeating both men in battle, Wes unties the kidnapped girl, who is introduced to the player as Rui. Rui is unique in that she is the only person who can see the black aura of darkness around Pokemon that have been corrupted by Team Cypher. Rui joins Wes as a non-playable sidekick that helps identify corrupted Pokemon in battle that Wes can then use the snag machine on. Once Wes captures a corrupted Pokemon, he is able to remove the darkness from them by gradually using them more in battle or taking them to a special Celebi shrine that can purify shadow Pokemon. Now, in terms of characters, I honestly didn't find myself too drawn into the characters of Wes or Rui or their stories. There was a certain degree of mystery surrounding them, but for whatever reason, I just wasn't invested enough to care. Additionally, the main villains that you encounter within both Team Snag'em and Team Cypher were jokes, with one of them literally looking like a white version of Shaft with poofy hair styled to look like a Pokeball. It was really hard to take these people seriously. I mean, I get that you could make a similar argument about Team Rocket, but I feel like that mainly applied to Jesse and James, while the other members, and especially the leader Giovanni, were more respectable. I also didn't find myself really caring about why the Pokemon were being stolen and corrupted in the first place, so I had a hard time getting invested in or even really caring about the characters or the shadow Pokemon in general. When it comes to Pokemon games, I'm used to roaming the map and having random encounters with Pokemon to battle them and capture them and then play through that way in a more traditional sense. Well, this game offers none of that. There are no random encounters with Pokemon, only battles with trainers, and the only Pokemon you're able to snag from trainers are the ones that are corrupted shadow Pokemon. Let me just say, I was not a fan of this at all. The problem I have with this is it put the focal point on Pokemon battles, which I agree is a large part of Pokemon, but the parts it neglected around randomly encountering Pokemon, battling them, capturing them, training them, and forming your team as you see fit are all parts of the game that I enjoy the most. This game prevented me from having that level of control in my own Pokemon journey, and I really didn't like that about it. I was limited to only catching shadow Pokemon, and not every trainer I battled had shadow Pokemon that were available for me to capture. Even so, when you encounter a trainer with shadow Pokemon, they usually only have one, and oftentimes it's some Pokemon you probably want to use in battle in your main party anyways. Further, you can't even allow your shadow Pokemon you've caught learn new moves until you purify them, which honestly just felt pretty tedious. Now, to its credit, the game has you start with two Pokemon, an Umbreon and an Espeon, who are around level 25 or 26. And honestly, I just stuck with those two as my primary battle Pokemon throughout the whole game, and I leveled them up as much as I could and exclusively used those two in all of my battles. Other Pokemon I had on my team merely served as placeholders in my lineup that I would sub in to use potions or revives on my Umbreon and Espeon, so yeah, I really didn't care about the other Pokemon that you caught, to be honest with you. On the one hand, I was very happy to have such awesome starting Pokemon to use, but I was also disappointed in the limitation that you could only snag and use Shadow Pokemon that you encounter, not all of which are even desirable. Like, who wants a Wobbuffet? I don't. In terms of core mechanics of the gameplay, this game had the typical battle options you would expect from Pokemon games, but I did not find my playthrough to be enjoyable enough to recommend others to go through and play it. So when I think back on some of the joy I experienced playing Pokemon games throughout my life, one of the first areas I always land on is the music within the game, especially the battle music. Even to this day, I have the battle music from Pokemon Red and Blue ingrained in my memory, along with the epic battle music from both the Pokemon League and the Elite Four battles. Even right now, as I say all this, I have them humming in my mind. Pokemon Colosseum offered none of that for me. In my opinion, the music was both bland and forgettable. Even when I was on the final boss battle at the end of the game, I honestly had no idea I was at the end of the game because the music tempo hadn't really picked up into an epic beat like I'm accustomed to. Rather, the music for that final battle was pretty much run-of-the-mill like all the other songs in the game. There was nothing distinguishing about it, and nothing I'll find myself humming out loud at a later point in life. Now, my major beef with the music aside, the game tends to run smoothly, and it is fun to roam around in a 3D Pokemon world. I believe this was the first Pokemon game where you could do that, so I appreciate that about this game. The world they present is visually appealing, however, the world doesn't feel as immersive as I would like it to, because I don't have random Pokemon roaming around that I can run into battles with and capture to join my team, which is what I've come to expect from my Pokemon games. From the main game boot-up screen, there are two modes available. There's a story mode and a battle mode. I did not go in and try anything associated with the battle mode because honestly, I had my fill on battling from the story mode. And to be clear, after finishing the main story mode, I had absolutely no interest in going back and playing this game more. I honestly really dislike Pokemon battles just for the sake of battling, which is what this game basically is. As I've stated previously, for me, battling is a means to make your Pokemon stronger and craft the right team based on your playstyle. I didn't feel like battling just to battle, which is what this game presented, nor to have any interest in snagging a limited subset of Shadow Pokemon to have them join my team, only for me to jump through more hoops to get them into a position where they could gain experience and level up with my Umbreon and Espeon. Long story short, Pokemon games typically offer a wealth of replayability options by customizing your team and raising up other types of Pokemon to your own choosing. But this game pretty much sucked all the wind out of the balloon on that one, and it left me uninterested in playing more. So I've been a fan of Pokemon from the beginning of the franchise's life, and I have had many great and memorable experiences playing Pokemon games. Pokemon Colosseum is not among that pantheon of Pokemon games for me. The game really took everything I enjoy about Pokemon and diluted it down into a shell of what Pokemon is all about. I hate having to battle just to battle, and I detest the lack of customization in forming and training your own Pokemon team. Additionally, the story was lackluster at best, and the characters were pretty forgettable. Not even the music, which is typically a standout aspect of Pokemon games, was appealing to me. Despite all of these qualms, I do appreciate the fact they tried something new with this one, and I believe the game was a necessary stepping stone to a more open and interactive 3D world in Pokemon like what we experience today. Graphically, this game holds up as well as all the Pokemon look as I would expect them to, and I genuinely enjoyed having Umbreon and Espeon as my two starting Pokemon. For all of these reasons, I would rate this game a 6 out of 10. It was just slightly better than mediocre in my opinion, but it also falls very short of what I've become accustomed to from Pokemon games. If you're looking for a Pokemon game to play, there are plenty of better options out there. So I'm curious to know after this review, do you agree or disagree? Please be sure to let me know in the comments as well as which Pokemon games are your favorites, and as always, thanks so much for watching, thanks for subscribing, and we'll catch you next time.